Okay, welcome to the Thrive Meal Prep Guide. This is the complete guide on how to prep 12 meals in less than 90 minutes. This is the exact system that I've done, that I've built over the last period of time, and just week after week of doing meal prep. This is super fast. It saves you time, it saves you money, and you can get incredible results, and makes food tracking a lot easier throughout the week too. The first thing is, look at these quick examples. So when you're looking at the PDF, if you click on these little titles here, the underlined titles, it's going to take you to a video that shows you, a reel that I created on what it looks like to actually put the meal prep together, just so you can kind of like visually wrap your head around like the workflow essentially. So, check those out first thing. But we're just going to go step by step on exactly what I do to prep 12 meals in less than 90 minutes on the weekend. So the first step is simply just deciding what to eat. So on Fridays, before I do my grocery shopping, I actually use MyFitnessPal to pre-track my meal, so that way you know exactly what you're going to eat and how much you're going to eat. So I'll bust out MyFitnessPal, and then I'll kind of plug in what I'm going to eat, and then from there, as you can see here, all you need to do is you can save it as a meal, and you can use that feature for one-click tracking throughout the week, which is really great. And if you want to learn a little bit more about how to use that feature, just click on this link here. It's going to take you to a YouTube video where I show you how to use the save as meal feature. So remember, when you're deciding what to eat, the general recommendation is to choose a lean protein, a starchy carb, and a vegetable source. Like, don't get overly complicated. So, chicken, beef, fish, turkey, pork, potatoes, rice, beans, oats, lentils, legumes, bread even, and then vegetables, you can do your choice, whether it's fresh vegetables or frozen vegetables. So step one is simply just deciding what to eat and punching it into MyFitnessPal, just like you see there. Step two is, before you go grocery shopping, you want to determine the amount of food that you're going to use for the groceries. So as an example, you want to decide how many grams you're going to be eating at each meal, and then backwards plan. So as an example, if you're doing 200 grams of chicken at lunch and dinner, that's 400 grams a day. And if you're doing that for 5 days out of the week, that's 2,000 grams of chicken. And just so you know, 1 pound is 453.59 grams, right? So in this example, you take 2,000 grams of the chicken, you divide it by 453.59, and you're going to know that you need 4.4 pounds of chicken for your meal prep. So it's a really quick calculation. You plug it into MyFitnessPal, you kind of see how many grams you're eating at each meal, and then you just kind of do the math for how much you're going to need throughout the week. I recommend doing this for your protein, your starchy carb, and your vegetable. So it's going to save you time and money when you grocery shop. So you can see this little example over here on the right hand side, right? So if you're doing 224 grams of the chicken breast, that's going to be 4.9 pounds of chicken. And you can see the calculation there that I ran. Same thing with the sweet potato. You take the 196 grams, 2 meals a day, 5 days a week. That's 1,960 grams. You divide that by 453.59, you're going to know, hey, I need to get 4.3 pounds of the sweet potato, right? So really quick little calculation. It's something that I do before I go grocery shopping. So that way, when I'm grocery shopping, I just know exactly how much I need. If I'm buying a chicken pack or whatever, I can say, okay, this one is 2.3 pounds. I'm going to need one more. That's, X amount of pounds, right? So it also just saves you time and money. So step two is just determining the amount of food that you need for groceries. And then as you get to step three, this is actually like the meal prep. So when it's Sunday and I'm ready to do my meal prep, the first thing I do is I measure out my food. So I weigh out the total amount of food for all meals before cooking. So as you can see, if I'm doing the chicken, I'm going to weigh out the amount of chicken I need for all 12 meals in one go. And the recommendation is to weigh your food raw and uncooked, and that's going to give you the most accurate calorie tracking, because remember, like meats, poultry, and seafood, those lose 25% of the water weight when cooked. So if you take 100 grams of raw chicken and you cook it, it's going to lose that water. It's going to shrink up to right around 75 grams. And if you're tracking things after they've been cooked, that can throw off the numbers a little bit. It's going to throw off the protein. It's going to throw off the calories if you undercook, if you overcook. So you can just avoid that and get the most accurate by weighing it and measuring it raw. And keep in mind, like, most carbs actually expand after cooking. So if you're doing 40 grams of uncooked white rice, it's going to expand to 100 grams, or like, it depends on how much water you use, right? So that's why it's important to weigh and measure things in their raw state. Even vegetables typically change after cooking. They can lose water, or maybe they even gain weight if they're absorbing cooking liquid, right? So this just changes depending on the vegetable, the cooking method, the cooking time. So first step is just measure out the food that you're going to use, do it in its raw state, and I recommend doing the total amount. So for me, I typically do 6 days out of the week, which is 12 meals worth. Or if you're even doing three days worth, you just want to weigh out the total that you're going to use for all of those days. And then you pretty much just start cooking. So step four, what I recommend is to start with carbs. So starchy carbs like rice and potatoes, those take a little bit longer. So, what I recommend is to get them going first and then do your protein and vegetables while they're cooking. You can see like things that you would need to prep on the left-hand side. So like rice, potatoes, if you're doing beans or grains or pastas or oats and stuff like that. I recommend getting those first, specifically like rice and potatoes. Those take a little bit longer. So you just get those going first. But if you're doing things that take no prep, like canned beans, those are also things that I use. Or, maybe you're using instant rice cups throughout the week, or even just bread and wraps. You don't even really need to prep. So, like if you're opting for carbs that require no prep, then just start with the protein and then portion out your carbs and veggies while that's going. And you can also click on this link below here for a recommended rice cooker. This is one I use that works really well. So the step four here is just start with the carbs. And then the next step is to cook your protein. So I recommend cooking your protein on low heat, whether you're doing ground beef on a pan or maybe you're cooking on the grill, right? It's just going to prevent burning, because sometimes if you're cooking it too high and then you're doing other things, you could come back and you just like burnt your protein, which is not what you want to do. So like cook it on a low heat, do it slow and steady while you're doing some of the other things, right? While the protein is slowly cooking, you can portion out your veggies, you can portion out your carbs. I always recommend buying pre-marinated meat. It's a great way to go, right? So it just becomes more flavorful. So most of the time, like if I'm going to HEB or Sprouts, the deli section has pre-marinated lemon pepper or like teriyaki chicken or whatever it is. Those are great options. And another pro tip is to butterfly your protein sources for even quicker cooking. So, if you slice a boneless, like a big, thick piece of chicken breast, and you kind of slice it in half and you open it up, it creates a thinner, more even piece of meat. And when you cook that, it's going to be a lot faster. So if you want to learn how to do that, you can click on this link here. It's going to take you to a video that shows you how to butterfly. You want to be safe. Obviously, you don't want to cut your fingers. But if you do that properly, your cooking time is going to go a lot faster. So, the next step is to cook your protein. And then the last one is to prepare your vegetables. So there's a couple recommendations on how to do this. So the first one I recommend is using frozen veggies. I use this all the time. It saves loads of time because you don't have to prep. And you can buy a big bag of frozen vegetables like this one. If you click on the link, it's going to take you to, link like Costco sells great big bags of frozen vegetables, HEB, or wherever you're at. You can get big bags of frozen veggies. That's just a hack. It's super fast. You can also do simple things like a side salad. So if you're just buying things like this, you don't even really need to prep it. They're already pre-washed, ready to eat, right? Just want to weigh out the portion size when you're ready to do your meal. Or if you prefer to roast your vegetables, you can buy pre-washed packs like this one too. It's already pre-washed. If you want, you can do a little olive oil spray over the top. Put them in the oven for 10 to 20 minutes, 425 degrees. That's pretty quick as well too. So there's a couple options to go with. I always recommend just sticking with frozen vegetables. It's very fast and very convenient. And then the last one is once the meals are all prepped, like the food's all done, divide the food into the containers. Now, I recommend eyeballing this because it's just much faster. I've been doing this for a long time. I've gotten into incredible shape. Now, you want to try to do this as evenly as you can to the eye. Like if you've already accurately weighed and measured the portions for all the meal prep in one of the previous steps, right? You already weighed out, hey, I'm doing 6 days of chicken and 6 days of the potato, right? You already took the time to weigh and measure that out, and you already have the save as meal in MyFitnessPal, so you have the specific meal there. So when you're ready to portion out your protein and your carbs and your vegetables, just do it as evenly as you can to the eye, instead of like weighing and measuring everything again to try to be as even as you can, because that just takes a long time. So it's like once you cook it up, boom, 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 just put it into your containers super fast. And as long as you're diligently tracking calories outside of your meal preps, you're going to hit your daily targets and most importantly, your weekly calorie targets, right? So it's like you've already accounted for the meal prep, you have it saved as a meal. Just make sure you're tracking everything diligently outside of that, and you're going to get phenomenal results. And it's going to be so much faster and so much more convenient. Now, the last few pages are meal prep examples. So you're going to notice a few pages. This is a document that we're going to keep improving over time as we keep recording our meal preps, you're going to see more and more recipes. So again, if you click on these, it's just going to take an example of like, hey, if you're doing lean ground beef and stir fry vegetables, like this one was done in less than 60 minutes. And the lean ground beef and stir fry veggie sweet potatoes, you can click on that one. You can also see the lemon pepper chicken with salad, the Mexican baked potato, if you just click on the links. And we're going to be adding to this over time. So this is a document where we're going to have more recipes. But that's essentially how to prep 12 meals in less than 90 minutes, how to basically choose what to eat, how to save it as a meal, how to save time and money grocery shopping, and how to prep your meals in a fast and efficient way every single week to get phenomenal results.